Tip Your Server, Loot Table, episode number 5, May 15th, 2016.
Huzzah, adventurers! Welcome to Loot Table, your one source for all things online gaming. With your host, Caeleste, Tannlin, Lucitie, and Flattuss. So pull up a chair, adventurers, and share in the loot.
Live from Desert Rain Studios, talking about
Thanks
all
for
things
listening.
fun and interesting in the
Send us
world
an
of
email
online video
at
games, connecting gamers with the
contact@loottable.net.
game they play. Won't you please pull
You
up
can
a chair
contact our
and join
host on
us
Twitter.
at the Loot Table.
Caeleste is at
I am one of your normal weekly regular
Lucitie is
hosts,
at
Tannlin.
Lucitie.
With me are
Tannlin
two of
is
the
at
other
Tannlin.
normal weekly
And
regular
Flattuss
hosts.
is at Flattuss. Loot Table
I'm
is a Desert Rain
Caeleste.
Studio Productions.
I'm Flattuss.
Music is provided by MDK. Find him and more of his
And we
music
do a
at
podcast
soundcloud.com/MDK
about
official.
video games.
Thanks for
Do a
joining.
thing
With stuff.
in your ears. We're in your ears right now. And if you're live on Twitch, I mean, if you're listening to this podcast audio, then we're in your ears. But if you're watching us on Twitch, we're in your ear holes and in your eye holes.
Dude.
Icky.
Yeah, it's great and gross. I just
And they still haven't fired me yet. I got that going for me.
you house most of the equipment, so
All right, well, without further ado, if you guys haven't watched us before, we used to do a podcast called Evercast. We did something like 87 episodes over the course of about 2.5 years, before we decided that since they canceled EverQuest Next, that we were going to rebrand and call ourselves something new, something original, and open ourselves up to the broader face of online video games. So we come up with Loot Table. So jumping right into one of the first things that we talk about is patch notes. Patch notes are the latest and greatest in video game news that we've come across in the last 2 weeks, since we didn't have a show last week for Mother's Day. Obviously, if you haven't noticed already, we're missing one person. Lucy is out this week, and something came up and she was unable to join us. She should be back with us next week. The next bit of patch notes that we have is that, and this seriously blew my mind, Civilization 6 has been announced, and it has a release date, October 21st of this year, and a release price of $60. And what's funny is that I tweeted out that, like, or maybe I didn't, I mentioned somewhere that if you take out MMOs, the game that I have the most hours in over all iterations of the franchise, it by far Civilization. And I looked at my Steam, what do they call it? The little hours played thing.
time thing.
And it's way lower than I expected it to be, and I figured it out. It's because I bought Civ 5, and then when they came out with Brave New World, which is their DLC that they released later, it reset my counter. So I have no idea, but yeah.
I have a good chunk of time logged in a Civ. Probably not with what you got, but
Well, and that was the other thing I was going to say, that Civilization, is one of the very few games that I can say like I remember playing Civ 1. No joke. I played Civ 1 through 6, and that joins the I've played Civ 1 through 6, I've played Warcraft 1 through 3, and I've played StarCraft 1 and 2. Other than that, there isn't another franchise out there where it's like I've played every version of that game. Nope. Just those 3.
Up until Tekken 6, I had played every single Tekken game ever, including the tag teams.
Are you gonna get 7 on your PlayStation 4?
Want it?
All right,
I want it.
let's make sure.
Duh.
All right, so moving on, the next bit of patch notes we have. 2 weeks ago, we did our show on a new MMO that is currently in development. They kickstarted on May 3rd, and that was Chronicles Valaria. And they met their kickstarting funding goal of $900,000. They met it about like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, yesterday morning.
Not saying that we had anything to do with it, but
No.
you know, between us and Electric Bears, where's our
Yeah.
thank you?
That was I mean, looking at how quickly they were able to reach their funding goal, it's like gamers out there, they want that next MMO. They want it so bad. All right, next little patch note that we have. Overwatch in the theaters? Holy what? It's yes. Caeleste is gonna don't cover up the barcode, honey. And it's also flipped around backwards. So anyway, Overwatch is having a kickoff celebration in movie theaters. They're going to show their trailers. They're going to do a development panel, and they're going to show it on the big screen. And it was called Tug, and I have never heard of this website before, but it's basically like you needed to get 100 people to sign up for the event at your local theater, and once it reached 100, everybody who said that like, hey, I would like to go, they got their tickets paid for, and the event got confirmed that it was going to happen. And at first, we didn't think that it was going to happen because Lancaster is like 100 miles outside of LA, and it had 10 people signed up with 90 more people needing to sign up with 4 days left. And I'm like, there's just no way this is happening. But then I checked 2 or 3 days later, and they're like, we need like 3 more people. And I'm like, done. So after Loot Table, after we record the podcast next week, Caeleste and I will be driving into Lancaster to watch Overwatch in the big screen.
Yeah. and there's swag.
I'm really only there. I'm only there for the swag. No, I take that back.
What kind of swag are we talking about here?
They won't tell us.
Are you serious?
Serious.
Don't tell
It's
me
on the
in-game
website.
swag. Oh fuck, there's in-game swag, isn't there?
That'd be the easiest thing, is just a little card with like, here's your code.
Here's the
Tannlin
skin.
doesn't have the game and doesn't want it.
Hey,
Guess
buddy.
I win.
But so I've mentioned before that like I am not an FPS player at all. It's just not my bag. But I love what they've done with Overwatch in terms of their web comics that they have, their little like 5-minute little animated videos that they've put out. There's another one coming out tomorrow morning for Hanzo, that I'm like, can't wait to watch it. So I'm definitely looking forward to all the things that they do with Overwatch. So speaking of Overwatch, hey Flattuss, how many people were playing the beta?
Well, according to what they found out, and record-breaking 9.7 million beta players, that broke, I believe, all the records they've had with beta, like in recent times. I think even with WoW, none of their betas have reached 9.7 million.
Is that across all platforms though?
It's include everything. That's everything. That's their biggest one. So, and that's including Diablo, and Diablo's across all platforms as well. So, yeah, they killed it, and it makes sense. But considering that what Overwatch is a team-based shooter, and the team-based shooter arena shooter hasn't been around since like TF2. That was like the real last solid one. It does what it does really well. Like, you do need to kind of concentrate on working with your team. You can't really. It's not like Call of Duty where you can be like the lone gunman and go out and just like tear shit up. Like, it is very team oriented, and it's got that Blizzard twist that we all talk about. And but is it one of those games where I'm like, this is TF2 but better? I know. I think TF2 is still like good for what it is. I think that this is perfect for a new generation of people that have never played TF2 and may never think about installing it because they're younger or they don't have PCs and they have consoles. So good job. See you at the end of May. So I can go kill people again.
Right. So the next bit, and Flattuss and I were talking about this a little bit before the show. Microsoft had a game. It's not even a game, really. It's like Landmark in that it's a game, but it's not a game. Called Project Spark, and they have finally decided that they're pulling the plug on it on Project Spark. Haha. And they're killing the project. I did not play the game. I heard about it secondhand, and I just heard that it was like Landmark and that it was very big, generate your own scenery and your own gameplay type stuff. But I've been told that that's not quite what it is.
No, no. It was a game development tool. It was a 3D game development tool, and then it was really pricey to get into. And kind of changed some things when they added Conquer. Now, if you've never played Conquer's Bad Fur Day, Conquer is a foul-mouthed little squirrel, and they added some levels, and that that was fun because it's Conquer and everybody loves Conquer, or at least I do. And that's what it was. It wasn't like, or Landmark. I would think is more akin to like, hey, how do we take Minecraft and flip it and make it more of a 3D space? This was more of, how can you create games? Like, you build the world, but it's more like you're this little glowy spark and you could drop stuff and create. And then that's how they created these Conquer levels. So they started giving you like development tools. So it was a way of, it was a game in the sense that you like art, like a RPG Maker is a game where it gives you all the tools to make a game,
Right.
to put out a game. And that's what Project Spark was. And then you could go and play people's games, and that's why they developed all these Conquer levels. And it just never came out or came to fruition, and they had betas for it, or alphas, and I played Airshow had one of Tobin's friends had gotten me in and gave me a little sneaky preview. It was cool. Was it anything to write home about? Maybe. If I would say this, in terms of skill level, I think it was easier to get into than Landmark. Like, build, like if we were going to compare it that way, I think it was easier to build, but I don't think it was the same genre as Landmark. So I think you could easily create a level or a game out of it and get better at doing that. Where in Landmark, it takes like, I'm not good at building, and clearly I will never be good at building as much time as I could put into it. Where this, I felt like you could take objects and drop them into the world and it would fit. Like, you drop a tree and you want to have a forest, you just start placing, like you could build it, and you knew, like, kind of like how you could figure out the map in your head. Like, it's kind of like that. So it would have been great, but adios.
Right. And then yeah, so we have written down RuneScape Legends, and it's not the RuneScape. It's what is it?
It's Chronicle
it's
RuneScape Legends. And now, Tannlin, telling you, it's rather than trade blows. Like, all right, first of all, it's a card game, and which we will be talking about card games. So, is it our next episode?
It is indeed our next episode.
So this is, I'm going to try. It's an open beta, so I'm going to try to get an open beta before then to talk about this a little more in depth for our next show. So instead of I've watched gameplay, and how it works is that instead of trade blows like in Hearthstone, you and your opponent pre-planned runs through laying cards out in secret, and then both heroes then tackle the course at once. So and then on top of it, you see the other player, like you both pick characters and you see each other. You're sitting at a table with each other, and it's got like the open world, so it looks like it could be like mountains or a volcanic sort of situation or a forest, and you have your cards and you pick and play, and it's very strategic. And then you click go, and you see it play out and see how it goes, and then you do the turn again. So it's a little different in terms. I would say it's more tactical of a card game than it is where Hearthstone's more of how can I quickly kill this person off or wipe their board with their cards, where that's the strategy in Hearthstone, where it's rather you trade blows or you wipe it, where this is more like how I need to
Clear the fucking board.
Clear the board, kill the guy. Where this is more like I need to figure out the strategy where I know that I don't know what this guy's planning. Because you can't, like, where in Hearthstone, you know, like, once the guy plays his hand, you're like, damn it, that's what he did. So I need to do this counter if I have it available. Where this is
Right,
more like, this is like, this is my best laid out plan. Hopefully this will work. And then if not, then I can change things on my next turn. Where I think I like that a little bit more. Not that there's anything wrong with Hearthstone. I just kind of like the idea of like setting up like my idea of tactics before and then letting it go, which I think you would like more.
Well, there's some things that like, and we'll talk more about it about Hearthstone, like because it's a collectible card game. There, you run into the issue of like, well, is it pay to win? Like, do you have to spend a lot of money to be good at the game? And that, but we'll come back to find out next week.
Same loot table time, same loot table channel. So yeah, I mean, it's an open beta. Go try it. Go have a whirl with it. I'm also playing Hex and the Pokemon. I'm gonna try to like cover my bases and talk about as many card games as I can. The Magic one I played, it's garbage, but I'll mention that next week too. If they change, if Wizards, if you change some shit and got it right, and I'll talk about it next week, you could have a great fucking game on your hand. I'm telling you, it could knock out Hearthstone. I'm not, and that's hard. Hey, I'm not saying Hearthstone. I think they could. I think that they have the mechanics that have been around longer.
No, you called it shit, and I actually liked it.
Come on, that UI sucks. It's terrible. Like their 2014 Magic the Gathering card game that you could buy is better, and I don't understand why they didn't take that same model and put it to the free to play version. Like wow. I don't understand.
Talking about Magic or Hearthstone? I think
Magic. No, Magic. Magic the Gathering.
We are talking about Magic the Gathering.
Oh wow! Yeah. I thought okay. Well,
yeah.
All right, again, tune in next week.
Yeah.
You can't take the glove off and throw it and then be like, but next week.
See you next week.
Just because the gauntlet has been thrown and gauntlet has been picked up doesn't mean you have to duel on the spot that minute. You can be like, see
you next Sunday.
See you next Sunday.
8 o'clock, I guess. All right. Well, yeah. So, go check that out. If you guys need a trailer, I will pop that into chat.
I already did.
Perfect. All right. So the next bit of news is something close to my heart, and I remember having this game and actually both of them 1 and 2 on I had one of course on my Sega Dreamcast and that is Shenmue. Shenmue is probably one of my favorite role-playing games that wasn't it was so different because it was realistic in a sense. Like you were a guy that needed to train, you had to feed your character. He was a young dude trying to solve them, like why his father died. And you had to solve that mystery, and you went out to town because you had to go do work to get money. Like it was this strange game because I'm used to like Final Fantasy and I was killing demons and I had powers, or I was playing, Legend of Zelda where, I was Link, and then Shenmue walks in and it's this whole thing. You have to feed your character. You have to make sure he gets up and does certain things. How you treat certain characters affected the game later on. And Shenmue 3 is coming to PlayStation, and it was kickstarted, and I'm excited for it. And Sega is investigating the possibility of an HD remaster of 1 and 2.
I forgot to mention,
yes,
speaking of kickstarting, that Shenmue is one of the games that I was looking at Kickstarter sideways going like, there was no reason this game needed to be kickstarted because it got like over $1 million in backing in the first day. And it's like, come on, you guys could have gone to any developer or any publisher and been like, hey, we needed $1 million, we can make the game, that you'll get your money back.
They would have. I think it was one of those things like, let's see if there's actually interest in this game.
Fair enough.
And people gave them money for it. Like,
But
Kickstarters. I mean, you got to think about it. We got to talk about that in the future.
we forgot to mention that when we were talking about Chronicles of Valaria, I'm back on the wagon. I backed Chronicles of Valaria. Like, after, and if you guys ever want to know one of like, you can still go and look at the comments in the Robotech Tactics RPG Kickstarter, and you'll understand why I feel like I've been burned. And it's not because the publisher failed. It's worse than that. I mean, there's like, oops, we can't do it, and then there's like, no, we're still doing it. Yeah, we're gonna still do it. Three fucking years later.
Wait.
Oh, and
do you have everything from the Kickstarter yet?
no, that's what I got. What I meant to say, like they like, if they be just like, oops, we can't. That's one thing, but to string us along for 3 years,
Trove.
Anyway,
I remember what was it? Not Trove. Was it Trove? No, not Trove. Trove's the
no, Trove's Treon.
Cube World. I think it was something like that, where I like bought into that game early, and it was like, I've not seen an update in that damn game, and other games have come out since then that have knocked it out of the park. Well, to no surprise, Stellaris smashes every Paradox Day 1 record, 200,000 plus and counting. Who did not see that coming?
There, and again, and that's like, I was about to say, like, there are 2 games that people were really, really hungry for. They're looking for a next-gen MMORPG, and, you know, Chronicles of Valaria, maybe that's it. And then they're also looking for that next really, really cutting-edge, next-gen 4X game. And 4X is, what is it? Expand, exploit, exterminate, explore?
Yeah.
Explore, expand, exterminate, exploit. I think I said them both.
I think you got it.
Anyways,
one of those words will fit in.
Right, but the reason why is because now that we have a better handle on how to develop AI, so the NPCs that we run across in the game should be better at making decisions based off of information, because AI is definitely better. We can procedurally generate better because we've got like 10-20 years of how do we write a procedurally generated world or universe. That we know the game industry now has how we do this type of thing and how we'd make it better. And so definitely, like, you can see it in the excitement of Civilization 6, and in a game like Stellaris, people are ready for it.
And Paradox has just been knocking it out of the park. I mean, what is it? City Skylines, like SimCity failed. Like, it didn't fail. It just didn't do well. And then they're like, here's City Skylines and full mod support. Have at it. And it flourished. And Paradox is just killing it. Full mod support. Same for Stellaris. Full mod support. You know what I'm waiting for? Star Wars mod. Star Trek mod, and I sure
hell yeah!
Oh hell yeah! And I'm gonna play the Star Wars mod, and I'm gonna see how much this game is and go. We're gonna be that podcast where we start talking about games, then we go and buy them, and then we're all broke because.
Yep, pretty much. There are so many times where I'm like, I'm gonna go buy this. No, because you're gonna play that for like 2 or 3, 4 hours, 5 hours, and then you're not gonna play it ever again. No, hold off. And that's why I'm a real big fan. I'm a big fan of YouTube Let's Play videos on where they play the game, and like streamers. Like, I'll check out the game to get a handle on what it looks like, what it feels like.
The Nova edition comes with a soundtrack and an exclusive alien race.
Oh, but you like the soundtracks.
I do enjoy soundtracks a lot.
If you like it, the FTL soundtrack is also really good.
FTL soundtrack is great. Oh my! Hey, look, the Galaxy edition comes with a novel, an ebook, the collector's edition book, signed wallpaper, alien race, form avatar, and original soundtrack.
So, Paradox, not only did they just release Stellaris, but they filed a trademark for a Vampire Bloodlines.
Oh yes,
That's mine. I want to talk a little bit about it too.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Hey, we've probably been playing Vampire longer than you've been alive, mister.
No, I don't think so. He's not that much younger than us.
No.
I'll be 31 in next month.
Anyway, Vampire Bloodlines. The entire White Wolf property, World of Darkness, was purchased by CCP Games years ago. Like, I think it was almost a decade ago at this point. And then over the last fall, I think it was, CCP sold the White Wolf franchise, all of their games and all of their property. They sold it to Paradox Interactive. Now, this is really interesting because, one, White Wolf is a pen and paper RPG producer. That's what they were first. And they continue to license their White Wolf World of Darkness tabletop RPGs off to other third-party developers. So basically, they own the property, they license it out to other people to do the tabletop part of it. So why would Paradox Interactive buy a property and not make the thing that the property is most known for when they're a video game company? The logical answer is because they plan on making a video game off of the property, and therefore when they register a trademark, you're like, holy yeah, that's awesome.
Don't we just talk about them and how like they just like blew up Stellaris? I mean, Paradox is probably one of those great companies you can give it to. Just go do the thing, Paradox. Go do it. Just deliver a great game because we deserve it. Well, I mean, it looks like I had the notes in front of me. Tim Kaine, who works as a programmer on the game, is back. According to what's going on, Tim Kaine's back, and also, man, I'm gonna lose the other guy too, and I just had him in front of me. Go ahead if you're gonna say anything.
Well, I was just gonna say that they were hiring. They're a Sweden-based company, and I was thinking about, like, well, what's the worst they could do? Like, tell me no. But I had considered it. They're also the game company that made Crusaders Kings 2. And so they have that reputation of being a game company that's known for really, really deep gameplay with lots of replayability where, like you play it through the first time and then, okay, I'm going to play it through the second time and I'm going to play it a little bit differently. I know that a lot of people have had fun with like in Crusaders Kings, like planning their whole, like, how do I take over Europe without going to war? And they try to organize, like marrying people and stuff like that. So again, they great reputation as a company, and they put out good games, and it seems like they make smart moves with their business.
I got it. Yeah. So yeah, if you don't know, Paradox put out helped Paradox put out Obsidian's Pillars of Eternity and the recently announced Tyranny, and they got Leonard Boyarsky, who worked on Bloodlines, and as I mentioned earlier, Tim Kaine, who also worked as a programmer on the game, to come on board for, or they're now acquired. They're working with Paradox, so maybe Smiling Jack will return. Who knows?
And then, we've been droning on for about half an hour now to talk about the main topic that we're talking about today. This actually had been something that we'd been meaning to talk about for quite some time. The news that we got from like last month regarding Blizzard Entertainment filing a cease and desist order against Nostalrius, which was a legacy Warcraft server, an emulated server, and an illegal server. It brought up that, like, wow, maybe this is the appropriate time for us to talk about this. Along with the illegal side of privately hosted servers, we wanted to talk about the legal side, where you're allowed to and encouraged to like buy the game and host your own server for you and your friends. And that's there is an ever-growing number of games that are being put out like that. Minecraft is probably the most popular, but you've got like Minecraft, Life is Feudal, Heroes Hero Song, the game that John Smedley is now making, is going to be a privately hosted one. The new Conan game, Conan Exiles, is going to be a game where they're, you're going to be playing on a privately hosted server with you and your friends. So we thought, like, why don't we talk about our experience, what we like about it, what we don't like about it, and maybe some ways that it could be improved upon, the whole playing on a private server experience.
I'm down. Let's do it.
So obviously, guys, what's your private server experience? What games have you played on a private server? What games have you not but would like to? Tell me all about it.
Minecraft.
Yep, that's gonna be my first one on the list is Minecraft.
And me personally,
hosted and played.
I'm gonna be hosting one soon.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, my parents, they love playing their video games, and sometimes some of the technical requirements to do stuff is a little over their head. So I'm their server admin for Life is Feudal. They play the game on the server, and I just like, my dad tells me like, hey, I need to do this thing with the server. Can you do that? And I go ahead and I do it for him. So I actually host a server that I don't ever really play on.
Well, with like Minecraft, and I wonder if Caeleste had the same thing. Like I've played on people who just host like servers just to play vanilla Minecraft. I think my favorite thing is like the Minecraft servers that have like the mini games. Like Hypixel is probably one of the largest one. It's a 50,000 capacity server, and it's usually got concurrent around 27,000 people on it playing all sorts of different games. First person shooters, survival, like Hunger Games, game, like and it's modded enough where it's like, I know this is Minecraft, but it's not Minecraft because the mini game isn't Minecraft. I'm using superpowers to kill their people. I'm trying to survive. Like we all start on different blocks. And we have to run out and try to go grab weapons and try to survive the longest. So I'm in for the Project 99. Yeah.
We'll get to that because that's one of the questions we were going to ask about, like, quote unquote illegal servers, is what should the game industry do with those, and we'll come back and bring that up. It's Project 99 is definitely on our list of things to talk about.
So Kai, have you ever played on like one of the Minecraft like Hypixel server or one of the other like big, like, or was it just like someone hosting a Minecraft server?
My best friend hosted a Minecraft server.
As a matter of fact, the server is out in the garage.
Is it?
Yeah.
Nice.
We tried running a server inside the house, but what I found out is that through the power requirements for a server added on to the additional cost of keeping the house air conditioned in the summer, because again, I live in the desert. The amount of extra electricity that it would take to power the server and keep the house cold it would be cheaper for me just to go and host a server somewhere else, either on a specific, like, this is a website where you pay them money to host a game. But then some of my other friends were like, you don't even need to do that if you can go to like Amazon Cloud Services and say, like, I want to rent server space, and you load it on there and you can play the game the exact same way without going through a website. And then those solutions are more cost effective for me than actually trying to run a server inside my house.
Nice.
What he failed to mention is that despite having been able to get into the servers, we can't figure out how to make them run like they were before he died.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's the reason we have the servers, is because the person that was hosting the server, the Minecraft server, and it's almost coming up on a year, was our friend Jason.
Twisted a little harder, thanks.
So, well, here's the thing with some of those servers, like, there's things you can do I don't think you can do unless, well, you could. You just have to host it yourself. But I think that the idea that they're out there and you don't need to spend the money, like Hypixel, or like, let's say if you wanted to play Pokemon in a Minecraft setting, Pixelmon, that's a server. It's got 1,000 available opens. You can do that. There's Mindplex, which is a weird thing. You have CubeCraft Games, which has Skyblocks and all sorts of stuff, and then you have Mindverse. Like, there's tons. There's so
Yeah,
many.
and even Life is Feudal. Like if you pop open Life is Feudal, you can look at all of the different servers that are out there, and there are like tons of public ones that have like. I mean, Life is Feudal isn't as popular as Minecraft, so maybe like 100 people are logged in instead of tens of thousands of people logged in.
Exactly. Now, Minecraft's not the only game.
Well, right, and we mentioned I'm seriously contemplating hosting a private Conan Exile server because I want to play the game, and it would be fun to play it with my friends. The thing is that all of a sudden my summer got a little busier than when they first announced the game, so I'm a little bit more hesitant on like, oh my god, I want to host and run my own Conan Exile server, but at the same time, it's still like all of the reasons why I wanted to do it in the first place are still there. And I can move that right into the next topic. The talking point that we were going to talk about is like, what's the appeal of the private servers? Do we have a preference of private servers over public servers? And then like how about where it is you can only play the game on our servers?
Depends. I have different opinions for each set, I guess,
Yep.
depending on the game.
Yep.
All right, well, let me rephrase the question a little bit differently. Is there a game right now that don't have private servers, but you wish there were?
Does that game need to still be in existence?
No.
Okay.
Star Wars Galaxies.
I knew that one was coming.
So,
Now, is that only because you would want to play it privately, or you just want to be able to log in and play the game?
I just want to be able to play the game.
That's what I was afraid of.
well, I mean, there's probably one out there, right? I mean, as much like for me, speaking of going back to that Nostralia server, like for me, it was playing Vanilla WoW, something that you can't do. Like it just doesn't exist. Like that version of Warcraft no longer exists.
And here's the thing. I'm glad that you mentioned that like everybody knows that I have my current WoW subscription. I'm not really playing it right now, but that's because there's no new content in almost a year. But you know what I would love to do is I would love to be able to take Warcraft time locked expansion server and lock it in with like 20 of my friends where we raid through it and we don't advance it, and like we don't advance out of Molten Core until we down the bosses, and then after Molten Core we go to the next raid after that, and then when we've got all of the vanilla raids downed as a group, okay, time to turn on the Burning Crusade expansion, and now we go through the content, we level up, we get to that first raid tier, we knock it down, we go to the next tier, and not just on the public realms, but this is something that's private, that's just me and my friends, and we're walking through the content at our own pace together.
Oh shit. Sorry, I was reading chat. Shin's right there. Shin, I agree with you. All right, whatever. Like, don't everybody listening right now, don't worry about it. But whatever Shin typed in chat, I agree with. But all right, well, but there's other games too. Like for me, like Warhammer Online. That game is no longer online, and I did find a server to play that game, but it isn't done for whatever. It's not, and I'm not sure if it's just not done or they just didn't care because they wanted people to get to end game because they wanted them to PvP. But I think a lot of it was like I enjoyed the leveling in that game. So like they just said like here everyone levels in this one area so everyone can go. I'm like no, I don't want that. I want the orc starting area because I like the quest where I put my orc in a cannon and I launch him across the field on top of a castle and kill dwarves. I like that, and I like the public event where I have to get a giant drunk so he can deliver a bomb to the dwarf castle to open the gate. I like that quest. That was fun, and I want that more. I never get that back, and that's sad.
So are there any other games that we can think of that there aren't private servers but we wish there were?
I mean, most Valve games have them. I mean, like Team Fortress 2 has private servers that you can't get into, or there are like servers separate from the Valve servers that have specific rule sets and different things. Like there's a game type that exists because people figured out with the pyro that you could reject rockets. So there's game servers specifically for dodgeball where you try to like blow the rocket back and forth on each side, and then as people die, like it gets more hectic. It's pretty fun.
Right. So
Everything for me would be stuff that's no longer playable, like
right.
Vanguard and yeah, everybody drink
Yeah.
twice because I said it.
Right. And that's what one of the other games that I wanted to mention when we talk about the illegal servers is the Vanguard server for reasons. I know a lot of my friends, like they started running their servers for the ego thing, because I went back and I looked at it. It wasn't Arma 3, it was Arma 2. Was like when Arma 2 came out, it was one of the very first shooter games where you could host your own servers. And what they really wanted was that their name on the list of Arma servers, they wanted it at the top as the most the most popular Arma 2 server. Like you could, like they were always online and running stuff, and just to be able to play with them, it was a privilege or whatever. I don't know. It got kind of weird with that group, but they were really, really into the idea that they had their own shooter clan and they had their own server. I don't understand it. It probably had a lot to do with ego. And so do you think that that's part of it, right? Is part of just running your own server just being like that ego part of you being satisfied, like this is mine and I get to do it and I get to run it?
No. I grew up listening to punk a lot, so I'm very much in that, let me pull up my damn bootstraps and do this shit myself. Because I like learning how to do things. So like when it came to Minecraft, I wanted to do a Minecraft server. I didn't have the means to build a PC to host a server in my house, so I rented the server. But the idea of hosting like the mod specifically that I wanted to play was fun enough for me to do that, because I wanted to host the Yogs mod, which did a lot of cool stuff. Like we had meteors showering down every once in a while. We can go to the enchanted forest. A lot of cool stuff that's not in vanilla Minecraft. And I could do that based on that mod. And there was more stuff that I could do if I wanted to. And there was like computers I could program, and I was building quarries, like all this cool shit we could do.
I just realized that's why I don't see enchanted forests in the game anymore. It's because it's not in vanilla Minecraft. It's in the modded version that we were playing.
And that's the perfect segue, because the next little talking point is server mods, customized servers. And I agree, Flattuss. I think that that's also one of the more compelling reasons for wanting to host your own server, is to be able to add your own mods, download mods, and play the server you want to.
Exactly. I mean, has there ever been a time where you're just like, fuck, if this game would be cool with these certain mods, but you're playing on a, like, those mods exist, but you're like, the server I'm playing on doesn't have them, and like I don't want to have to like tell this guy that I want to join his server because there's a waiting list or some bullshit like this. Like I'd rather just pay like the $10 a month to host my own server and just give me the mods and just do it myself.
Absolutely. I'm a little bit like, and this is one of the things that I would like to see more in the industry in general, right? Is that they've got a lot of like feature modifications and graphic modifications, but I'd like to be able to see like, okay, so I have Life is Feudal. I'm running the server. It is basically, it's not even, at a certain point, it stops becoming a game and it becomes a medieval life simulator. It's not that exciting after like we've mastered we're no longer starving to death because we have our farm and we have our cows and we have our chickens, and you go log in so that you can collect.
It's medieval
eggs.
Farmville.
It totally is. But I would love to be able to like download, maybe even pay for a story DLC where it's like, okay, and here the server is going to put into the game, this is a raider camp, and if you don't kill them, they're going to attack your castle. and just to be able to do more to tell a story on the server, or like, hey, this is how my players reacted on my server when I ran them through this module.
Yep, we need more of that. We need more of that in gaming, because not everything's going to come out with story anymore. We clearly get that from developers. Like here, like look at these like games like Life is Feudal and Ark, where it's like, here's the world, just fucking playing it. Like there's no story, there's nothing. Like maybe there's like some minimal story. There's like, here, you're this person in this world because of this, and that's it.
Well, and the thing is that I think that we also have gotten to the point where developers realize that they can't write story fast enough. And so that's why it really is more interesting from my point of view to be like, okay, so here's the mod, here's the module, and we give it to the players. And how did your players get through it? Because my players got the same module and they went this way with it. And all of a sudden you've got all of these like all of those hidden secrets, like all of a sudden they became more interesting. It's like, well, when your players went through, did they find out that secret? It's like, oh no, they didn't even know. They didn't even go look over there because they went off over here.
Can I say that maybe we just tapped into the key of the future of like online gaming, is that if you give us the world and you let us host our own servers, and you sell, and if companies sell modules and like let other companies like sell modules based on that, and let us plug in those modules and let them play out like tabletop games would play out, sign me up. That's my table. Sign me up. I'm in.
And that is why I started going back to tabletop RPGs, because I wanted to reconnect with that. It's been like 5 years or more since I have played in a normal tabletop game, and that's one of the things that I realized that was missing, is like, I need to connect with not just
people.
No, not consuming the story, but creating a story based off of what I felt was important for the character that I created, who was not me exactly,
Sneak peek of like a little bit of because of that, because I've not role played in a long time, and Tannlin and I are both in that group, and Lucy is running that. In character creation, we've already burned down a town, so we were creating our characters and we've burned down a town. So if that gives you a preview of where this is going, we've done a great job so far.
I just wanted to create a mage that was annoying, and I've tapped into that. Like, how do I make an annoying character?
It's so funny because I'm sitting in the same room and I'm listening to him roleplay his characters. Like, God, that's so very Tannlin. God, that's so very Tannlin. And at the end of the game, he's like, well, I'm so glad that I did my job, because I totally created exactly this annoying mage that I really want. And I'm snickering inside. I'm like, please don't ask me what I think of your character. Please don't ask me what I think of your character. Babe, what do you think of my character? Fuck!
Did you find out about my character?
He put it in his headphones.
Yep. My name is Born Ironbottom, and I'm a cleric who prays to the god Optimus the Thirsty. It gets better. I'm trying to convert Hedwig or Fedwig the Humble over there to start joining to drink and become part of my god's religion.
All right, so going back to the topic at hand, though, what mods do we like? What mods do we not like? What mods would we like to see more of? Is there anything more that we can think of specifically before we move on to the illegal side of hosting servers?
No.
I don't like anything that makes, like, I don't mind mods that change the game in a way where it's like, all right, it's Minecraft, but it's Minecraft if it had Pokemon, or it's Minecraft if it had like a first person shooter or mini games, or if it's Minecraft plus fantasy, like the
I don't like it when it
Forest.
changes it so much that the game is no longer the game. Like the Enchanted Forest doesn't really feel much different than Minecraft.
It feels like it would be still Minecraft.
It's still, yeah, because like I forget that it's not naturally supposed to be there.
So yeah, and it's same thing. Like when they add, like, there's certain like Minecraft mods that add computers. Like I could see that being like, you've worked your way from stone and you've discovered technology. Like I could see that being a thing in that world, because you know it's a thing. But what I don't like is like, oh well, I can jump 50 feet or I'm invincible, so I can't like, when it's like one person has all the power and abuses it, or instead of being like, no, even though I run the server, I'm fair unless someone's like, hey dude, I'm really fucking stuck. I
Yep.
need you to like teleport me out of this hole. No problem. Like I don't mind doing that, but like when some person's abusing everything and like, oh, you have to work for your diamonds, but I can like cheat my way through the game. I don't like that. I don't like when people like or give you the ability to cheat through the game. What's the point? There's no point in that.
It's no. If I wanted that, I'll just play uncreative. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on from the legal side of game servers to the illegal sides, and I'm gonna say like they're illegal servers. Both times I've talked to game industry professionals about the issue. In private conversations, both of them have point blank said, like, no, the game industry considers them illegal and piracy, and you don't stay away from them. I mean,
Don't touch hot, bad.
bad, 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 bad. Right. However, as bad as they are, they exist, and we know they exist because we've mentioned 3 or 4 of them already since the start of the show. Project 99 started out as an illegal EverQuest server. They've actually moved beyond that to become a more legitimized game server, officially recognized, I think, is the way that Daybreak put it. But then there's Nostralius, which is a World of Warcraft vanilla legacy server. There is the Vanguard emulated server, which it's there. It's not quite legal. And then there's Flattuss, you had mentioned Warhammer, and if you go out there and look for it, there is a Warhammer emulated server. And I know Caeleste mentioned Star Wars Galaxies. I think there might be some Star Wars Galaxies servers.
Oh,
I haven't been able to find them. That doesn't mean they don't exist. It also means that I'm not looking that hard.
There's also Final Fantasy 11 one that somebody runs and stuff like that. So they're out there. They exist. But the question is coming to it, like how should companies react?
Yeah, that's the number one questions because we're acknowledging right now that game developers say they're illegal, they're bad, don't touch, and then we're also saying on the same hand, but they're out there. We've looked at 2 different examples of how the game industry reacted to them. Daybreak Games did not send a cease and desist letter to Project 99. They basically, played ignorant, like we don't know that it's out there. We're pretending it doesn't exist until it got to the point where they wanted to do their own time-locked expansion servers, and then they officially said, hey, Project 99, this is what we're going to do, and we will officially recognize you if you work with us so that you're not trying to do the same thing that we're trying to do. And then
I think Blizzard was almost, we know they were doing the same thing, and I think it wasn't until the numbers started coming out about Nostralius and like how many people were playing that it,
well, right, and actually I'm almost certain that their legal department had a we can ignore it up until X point, and after X point we got to do something, because one of the things that is important to know about copyright law is that if you do not fight to protect your copyright, you will lose it. Jello is not the gelatin dessert. Okay, Jello is the name brand, but no one calls it gelatin dessert. They all call it Jello. Kleenex is the same way. Kleenex is not the name of tissue paper or disposable tissue. It is the name of the company, but because they did not fight it, that's what everybody calls it. And so what you don't want as a creative company, if you don't fight to protect your IP, you will lose it. And that's actually one of the Star Trek. That was what I was going to bring up. The fact that there are Star Trek fan-made short videos on YouTube actually degrades the company that owns Star Trek's ability to fight in court and say that's our IP. Because if they said that this is okay, but this isn't okay, if they let one thing slide, they have to start letting more stuff slide.
Are any of those fan-made videos better than Enterprise?
Some of them are really good.
I don't know if they did great then.
Maybe it is better that the fans take over and run the franchise.
I mean, really, I understand the law. Like the law is the law, and I'm not saying that what the people at Australis did was legal. I knew everybody knew it was illegal. Like I understand. Like even I thought was like, dude, what do you like? Even when I saw the petition go up, I'm like, that's pretty stupid. even I agreed. I was like, that's for just that. I mean, I understand why because there were so many people saying like, hey, listen, that version of vanilla doesn't exist. There's no way you can give it to us. You have said no on so many occasions. Like I understand why people were fighting for it, but on the other end of the spectrum, I also get that Blizzard can't. There's parts of where Blizzard can't do that, right? Like it's a cost to maintain servers. It's a cost of like if they didn't do anything, they lose their copyright. Like even with Daybreak, like the fact that Daybreak said, "Hey, listen, you're okay," but like since them not fighting, that hurts their copyright. Does that mean any other EverQuest server out there, like if that pops up, that they have to take legal precedence and say, "Hey, listen, Project 99 is cool, but EverQuest, Jim Bob's server has to get shut down because of that."
And that's actually a great point to make because Daybreak allowed Project 99 to exist and then officially recognized them. That actually hurts them in shutting down other EverQuest servers.
So
it's just a matter of fact. And so I how should they handle it? And I think that that's one of the things that we're upset with Blizzard is not that they did what they did, because we all understand it, but at the same time it's like, what should they have done? What could they have done for the community that so that instead of looking like the bad guy?
I mean, I've always said this. I think Blizzard should do like they're like, regardless of the what the game product they're putting out now. To me, like if Blizzard really wanted to capture more, at the end of the day, it's always about money, right? They need to make a profit. They need to turn a profit. And in order to turn a profit, they need to make sure that what they're doing generates cash. Like they need to see cash coming in. But there's people that want to play those games. Could you do a time locked expansion server for WoW? Yes. Are people going to be pissed off once it gets past Wrath? Probably. They don't want to see Cataclysm come back because they don't want to see Vanilla go away. And there's going to be people that's like, I don't want to go anywhere past BC because that, like, some people think BC was perfect and then Wrath changed a little too much. And there's people like, all I want is Vanilla and all I want is BC and all I want is Wrath and then all I want is Cataclysm and all I want is Pandaria. There's going to be those people where there's like, I have that one expansion that I attach myself to and that's all I want.
And that, though, I'm sorry to say it, but that's the mentality that I don't understand at all. Because I mean, that's one of the reasons I don't log into Warcraft much at all, is because there's literally like nothing left in the game that I have not done or tried to do.
And that's what I don't get either. I understand like you need to move forward, and it's the same thing. Like Blizzard has a story they want to tell. Like so, I understand that like they needed to destroy vanilla because people wanted flying, but there was also deeper that we needed to change the leveling because nobody was playing it. And to make it interesting for people with alts and to get people back in the game, we needed to update it, right? They needed to put the technology in there so that they can change the world. If you do the servers that people want, I mean, do people want them? Yes. Do you have to charge them $14.99 a month? No. I mean, charge them something. I mean, if they've bought the game, and charge them like half that. Charge them, let's say $7.99 a month, and say, hey, listen, for $7.99 a month, you can play the old stuff. You can play, like, you don't get Legion, you don't get Warlord. Let's say it's always 2 expansions behind, and they can still play the old stuff, and it's on 2 servers, and that's it. Like, you only get 2 servers. You get a PvP server and a PvE server, and that's it. You get these 2 servers that are for this. They're half price, and you can play on them. If you have a World of Warcraft account already and you're paying the full price, you can play on them already. The question is, how many people will leave $14.99 a month and say, hey, listen, fuck Legion, I'm going to go play this, versus the people will be like, all right, it's half price. Here's my $8 a month. I'm going to go play vanilla. And if you promise me that nothing, like it's going to be pristine and no boost in XPs and I can play it normally how I want to play, could they make money off that? Yeah. I think people that would say, hey, listen, $8 it's a steal. It's a steal. Most MMOs come out rather free to play and you have to buy shit off the thing if you want to make an effort, or you have to spend $14.99 a month to play it. So $8 is a steal, especially if you're getting WoW, because WoW's not. I mean, even vanilla WoW, like people would play it. Like I could see people saying, "Hey, listen, like we have always said, like any of us have never. If you've never played the intro into like AQ40 or did the intro going into Burning Crusade and the Legion and the zombies, like any of that stuff, like you've never got to do any of that stuff, and you had a chance to do it for $8 a month. I guarantee the people out there do it.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that there's a population segment of the gaming population that would be into it, but like, I am not that way. I am, and one of my frustrations with the current MMO market in general, and that's not just poking back at Blizzard, is that in MMORPGs, I am tired of playing the same heroic story that every other player is going. I don't get to play my character the way I want to play my character. I have no choice. It's always, the if you want to advance beyond a certain point, this is the task you must do. And I'm like, well, I don't want to do that task. And if I get stuck into that, am I playing a role-playing game or am I not? And more often than not, it goes into that I'm not playing a role-playing game. I'm just going through the motions so that I can get to the end game and I can raid or do whatever with my friends.
Yep. Make better. I mean, WoW's just in Blizzard and EverQuest. I mean, like it's hard. Like even Final Fantasy 14, I think in A Realm Reborn starting out, I think I think where Final Fantasy is a little different because they're starting to break away. They're trying to break further into like future game it's weird, but I know that what they want in the future, like Yoshi P's trying to look at the future and figure out how to make like that MMO a little more engaging. It is, and Shin's right. It is the worst, but I've heard their producers say that he's trying to change it for the future. Like look at like the Palace of the Dead, where you can keep going in. It's new content because the dungeon changes every time you're in there.
Right.
So
And speaking of, that's one of the reasons why I was really excited that we had talked about Chronicles of Ilaria, because it turns it more back into a static role-playing game where not only are you playing the game against the story that the developers are trying to tell you, but there are characters that have different degrees of power and in the game that the server recognizes their power that you also play against. So if somebody on the server is going to be playing the character of the king, it's going to be a player character, which means if you want to rebel against the king, you can play it. It might not be healthy or wise, but you could do it.
that's why King Jim Dandy. I don't know. I hope somebody makes a character named Jim Dandy and he becomes king, and then everybody has to call him King Dandy.
That was one of the things that when the Kickstarter kicked off, 2 people pledged at the king level, but they had to have been outside of the North American market, because the developer, the guy running it, said that when the 3rd king came in, right? So somebody backed at the king level for 10 grand. He was really excited because it was the first one in the North America region.
I
So
hope.
there,
I'm telling you. One of them be King Dandy and the other person be King Day 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 from Kirby, because I think King Day 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 would be my favorite.
So when legendary neurotoxin, he made a comment that the only reason why it's illegal is because we didn't get the legal ruling that says older versions of servers that the developers won't host and support are actually legal. And I think I get that's, I guess, partially, but the other part of it is that from like comparing it to intellectual property in general, if you write a story and you're going to write a sequel to that story, to the second story and the third story and the fourth story, you don't want to let somebody come through and start writing fanfic and selling fanfic based off of your stories. You want to control it. So I can understand if you're an artist and you want to protect your IP, that you would not. I mean, it has nothing to do with like old versions of the servers or anything. It's like, I'm writing the story my way, and I don't want other people to write my stories their way. That type of thing.
I'm down. I mean, it happened back in Don Quixote when that was written. The sequel was written by a guy who wrote fan fiction, essentially stole the character of Don Quixote, wrote his own version of it, and then when the original guy who wrote Don Quixote, who's I forget the name, his actual sequel to Don Quixote took that guy's character out of his book, which I'm going to refer to as the original version of a what are those things called, fanfic, and stole his character, and Don Quixote addressed him in the game and the book, and and told him off, and then walked away. It's pretty great. So,
That's pretty funny.
yeah.
Oh, we're dropping frames again. Well, it's a good thing that we're like 10 minutes after, so that we can work on wrapping up the show before my internet totally like.
We're gonna do. All right. So, any final thoughts on gaming servers?
I think that we discussed the really important thing, and that is that I foresee the future of games in general to be smaller servers with marketed DLC, where you're like, here's my gaming world, and you can write stories for my gaming world, and you can charge people money for it as long as you give me a cut. And then people who are the administrators of those servers basically get that story pack, and they like, I'm putting my players through this adventure, and they plug it in. Speaking of, that's kind of the way that Sword Coast Legends runs it, except it's not really a private server. It's kind of like a private party system. And 2, they don't charge for the modules, but you can create the modules and you can distribute the modules, and they get voted on.
So, I agree. I mean, there's nothing else we can really say. I think that we hit the nail on the head. I would like to see the future of gaming be more open, where it's good communication between us, the gamers, and the game developers. I'm willing to play the game that the developers make because it's art. I consider games art, and I think what they put out, I'm willing to play. But sometimes you want to take their art and have your way with it. Phrasing.
And Caeleste?
Language.
That's all right.
I can't. Brain I has the dumb.
All right. So I guess that's it for final thoughts.
That's it. I think that we pretty much nailed it. I mean, here's one more final thought. If you have Minecraft, you want to host your own server, go do it. If not, go play. I'll put a link in chat. You guys can play some mini games. Go try it out.
All right. So moving on to the end of the show. Our background this week was submitted. It's a screenshot submitted by Shinter. It is Final Fantasy 14. And it's your guys' guild house in the game.
Yeah, that corner house right there, that one right in front. That's it. We have a basement. It's decorated pretty nice down there. We have merchant and menders. We have a chocobo stable where you can feed your chocobo different fruits and have it become a different color: pink, purple, gray. If you're not careful.
Chocobo.
Yeah,
Very
we got
good.
it set up, and also our basement is where we're trying to build the airship.
Okay, I'm gonna have to do this fast before my internet craps out again. My do better for this week is about esports in general. The esports industry is new. It is growing. There is no doubt that it's growing in popularity, and because it is growing in popularity, there is a lot of moneyed interests that are now poking their heads into esports. The problem is that there have been like multiple incidents over this last week that make me want to say that everybody involved in esports needs to stop, and they need to do better. The 3 incidents that I'm going to name off the top of my head. One is that there were 3 League of Legends teams that were permanently disqualified from competing by Riot in the last 2 weeks. There was a Heroes of the Storm team that fired their sponsors and are now looking for new sponsors. And the one that actually bothers me personally the most is that Colin Cowherd, who I blasted on Twitter and I blasted him on the Evercast show about a year or 2 ago, is now talking about possibly investing in esports. And the great thing about esports right now is that if you have any interest in it right now, you have huge amounts of power. They might have money, but if you sell them you could give them their power for their money, and I don't think you should do it. I think that you should tell Colin Cowherd that, because he has basically gone on the record and said that guys who play video games are losers, that maybe you should say, hey, we don't want your money. You had your opportunity, but now you're not good enough. We want to be bringing people into the esports scenes that are passionate about it and aren't just throwing money at it. And so that is my do better for this week. Going over our schedule really quick. Next weekend, we're talking about Hearthstone and collectible card games in general. Caeleste is super happy about that. The weekend after that is Memorial Day weekend. We are not having an episode on Memorial Day weekend. When we come back, though, we're talking Overwatch and first-person shooters. And then the weekend of June 10th, obviously, we will be talking about the Warcraft movie. Flattuss,
Hi.
you want to do your thing?
Sure, I'll do my thing. Guys, listen, we don't ask you for money. All we do is we ask you to share us with their friend, with an enemy. Don't really care. Just share somebody you think who will listen to Loot Table. Live here on Twitch, live on Stitcher at Loot Table, live on iTunes. You can look for us on iTunes as well, and also now on Google Podcasts. Go there if that's your jam. If you have a Android type phone, you can listen to us on the go now. Give us a like, thumbs us up, whatever the rating system on Google is, do that. I don't know what that is yet. Maybe it's a star system. Maybe it's a number system. Maybe it's a fancy penguin system. I don't know. Just go do it. Whatever you got to do the thing. You should listen to us and go, we don't ask for money. I'm not going to make you pay for this content. LootTable.net is our website, and then you can contact us. Send us emails at contact@LootTable.net. Anything you're playing, tell us if we're doing great, tell us if we're doing bad. And if you have any questions or concerns or things you want to ask me or ask the cast, send it. We'll read them live here on the show. Thank you all for joining. Tannlin is going to count us out, and see you all next week for some card games.
All right. I will see you guys all next weekend, camping out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good night.
Send us an email at contact@loottable.net. You can contact our host on Twitter. Caeleste is at Blood Knight Kai. Lucitie is at Lucitie. Tannlin is at Tannlin, and Flattuss is at Flattuss. Loot Table is a Desert Rain Studio Productions. Music is provided by MDK. Find him and more of his music at soundcloud.com/MDKofficial. Thanks for joining, and game on, adventurers.